Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to do something a little bit different today here on Friday as the market just about at SP 500 specifically, the futures almost reached 5,000 today. I think they got up to 49.97 or something like this, if I remember right. But we're going to do something a little bit different here today. We're going to talk about how most people enter a trade. Probably like over 90% of the people that I listen to on YouTube or even in my own membership in some of the chat, I hear this occasionally. People say this, and I just want to say up front, I'm not criticizing for people that say this. That's just kind of the way that a lot of people think. And I'm going to talk about how I enter trades. This video is going to be about how I enter a trade and how I do it much different than what most people do, okay? So first off, you can see right here I made $1,025 today. That was my goal. For those who have been watching my videos, my goal is $1,000 a day, so this was a good goal. But we're going to target a specific, this was two trades I made today. I'm trading right now currently 2 E-mini futures at a time. And you can see it was a total of four contracts total, so that was obviously two different trades happened here. We're just going to talk about the last trade that took place, which is up here where I got this circled, okay? And we're going to talk about how most people think about entering a trade, and then I'll talk about how I do it, okay? All right, so there's $1,025, really nice. You can see on the chart here at the time, I was chatting with one of the members on my Discord server where the member services take place, which, by the way, if you want to become a member after watching this video, stick around to the end and I'll show you how to do that, to join. So anyway, on this, you can see here, I circled this up here and I circled this here. And this is really relevant. This was around 11 o'clock this morning, okay? And it was the 15-minute chart. See that right there? All right, so let's talk about this. Let's switch over to 3 of the charts that I use intraday that the members also use, the streaming charts, and we'll talk about how most people do it, and then I'll talk about how I do it. Okay, so here we are on the chart. I know it's a little bit busy here, but on the far left, you got the 5-minute chart. In the middle, you got 15-minute chart, and on the far right, you got the 1-hour chart. Now, the market's still trading here. It's about 3:20. Excuse me, my time. Let me get a drink here. So there's the intraday is closed already, but futures trade till 4 o'clock. So another 40 minutes here. Usually futures, not always, but usually futures will be pretty quiet after like 3:30, 3:45, really calm down. Anyway, let's talk about how most people think about entering a trade. Now, this could be, I trade almost exclusively nowadays the E-mini futures. Because like I said, I think a couple of days ago, I said, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, right? And the trading's been really good, so I just been sticking with this product because it's been very profitable for me. But this could apply to stock, other futures, other commodities. And for options, it's not quite as good because without diving too deep, options have some really restrictive attributes to them, like strike price and decay. But even for options, this can work if your timing's really good, okay? So let's talk about it. How do they enter a trade? Well, most people, the primary way that they look, one of the biggest things they look at is price. Yeah, they look at price. And what do I mean by that? I've heard this in a lot of other videos that people put out. I've heard it, I've even heard it on my own Discord server. And again, this is not to criticize anybody. I'm not targeting anybody or saying, so if you've said this, don't feel like I'm specifically talking about you. This is just in general. I hear a lot of people say this, okay? They'll say something like this: I need the price to be such and such. I've even seen other YouTubers put out videos that say we need, meaning they're speaking on behalf of the entire trading community apparently. We need the price to do this. So it's a very common thing that I hear. And I don't agree with that. Now, is price important? Sure, it's an important part of trading, obviously. But what you're going to hear at the kind of the second half of this video is that I only really focus on price for the exit or the closing of my position. But for the entry or the taking of the position, right, to open or enter the position, I don't even think about price really at all. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't come into play at all, but yeah, usually I just don't even think about it. So let's talk about, so we've talked about up to this point that a lot of people are looking at price. They kind of have this number in their mind about where the price of whatever they're trading has to get to. Either it has to go up to it or pull back down to it before they take an action, right? In this case, I'm talking about entering a position. And, this is not a really good way to trade, in my opinion. So, and I think a lot of people get in trouble because of that. They enter these positions based on a certain price because they think that price is somehow the golden ticket. If the market hits this, or like the chances are really high, I'm going to be profitable. And a lot of times it's just not true. All right, so that's how a lot of people do it. What percentage of people do that? Retail traders do that? I don't know, but I hear it a lot. I'm not saying it's 90% or plus, but I got a feeling it's a pretty high percentage of people. That's how they trade. They have a price in mind, and that's what they're going to go after, okay? Now, with options, which I don't trade options, I can kind of understand it because people are looking at strike prices, but even for that, we'll talk about options separate because options is, it's just not a very good product in general. It's not a very good way of trading when you look at, especially when you compare it to futures. But I'm not gonna, that's going to save that for a different video, how options are just so counterproductive to profitability versus futures, okay, and commodities, and even just stock. Okay. All right, so now that we know that I'm proposing, if you will, that a lot of people trade like that. They look at a price and they're trying to get to a certain price before they enter, take a position and enter the trade, okay? So let's talk about how I do it. I don't really consider price. I consider movement. I am far more concerned about cycles and waves. And I don't mean Elliott waves. I know a lot of people use Elliott waves. I personally don't. I don't find it reliable. So this video is not about Elliott waves. I've looked at Elliott waves a little bit, and I see all these people that do analysis in Elliott waves. And here's my observation. They'll do something like this. Oh, this is the 135 wave. And then when it doesn't work out, they change their tune. Oh, if it's not the 135, then it must be the 127, blah, blah, blah. They just keep changing their mind, And hey, maybe some people are really profitable in Elliott wave, and that's great if you are, don't change it. Me personally, forget about it. I'm very profitable right now, and there's, Elliott waves are just way too unreliable. So I'm not talking about Elliott waves. I'm talking about a cyclical pattern that exists all around us all the time. Okay, the sun comes up in the morning and it takes 24 hours before it comes up again, right? A day is 24 hours. That's a cycle. It repeats itself, like very specific cycle. It's very accurate and it repeats itself. If you look at trees in nature, well, what happens in spring? The leaves start to come out onto the limbs. Then they go through summertime where they flourish. Autumn, they begin to drop their leaves again. Winter, they're very kind of dormant. And then spring, it starts all over again, right? 4 seasons, cycles. Even our sun has an 11-year, approximately 11 or 12-year cycle. It's called a solar cycle. All right. Bears, some bears in some parts of the world hibernate every year in the winter. That's a cycle. Think about it. Even our own breathing is a cycle. It's you breathe in, you exhale out. That's a cycle. So cycles are all around us all the time. Very, very far more prevalent than people realize. Okay, the entire universe actually works on pulses or cycles. Okay? But I won't go off on that tangent in this video. So I just, and think, okay, the last one analogy I'm going to make is think about the ocean waves. Waves in the ocean. As they approach the shoreline, they rise up, they hit a crest or a peak, and they crash onto the shore, right? And then the next wave behind it does the same thing. It rises up, it crests, gets to a peak, and crashes on the shore. And it repeats itself over and over and over, right? And those waves that are coming onto the beach and crash on the beach, they're not exactly the same every day, are they? Sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they're larger. Sometimes the wave is a longer type of wave. It takes a much longer time and, in length for it to crash. You follow me? Sometimes the weather is stormy, so the crashes are fast and furious, coming in, pounding the shoreline. But within the context of that storm, the waves are pretty consistent, right? On a calm day, if you sit there for an hour or two, the waves are pretty consistent. Okay, so I'm trying to paint a picture here that in this analogy, using the waves that we see in the ocean hitting the shoreline, they literally are a wave, right? They start from the bottom, they rise up, and they fall back down, almost like a bell, kind of like a bell curve, right? Okay, so the S&P 500 specifically has a lot of that type of attribute of cyclicality in it. It's one of the most reliable or most consistent cyclical products. I mean, it's much more so than, let's say, gold and crude oil, or I don't know, let's pick something like a specific stock, okay? Or, I don't know, you could pick any number one of products, right? Platinum, silver, okay, cattle, believe it or not, the cattle trades, hog, grains, oats, you get it, right? Wheat, natural gas, on and on and on with all the different things that can be traded. Okay. The S&P 500 has enough cyclicality in it, enough waves in it, that we can use that to our benefit to profit. Okay. So that's kind of the heart. That's not the only thing I use, but that's kind of the heart of what I use to profit in the S&P 500. I don't look at price. I'm looking at the wave. Okay, so let's take a look. Now I'm going to remember I talked a little bit earlier when I began this video. I showed you my profit for today was whatever it was, $1,025, okay? You should always have a goal, and we'll talk about goals on how I exit a trade. But for the moment, this part of the video, we're just talking about entry. Okay, so let's take a look over here at this is the 5-minute chart. Okay, look at this one first. And let's just look from about 9 o'clock, from 9 o'clock to about 11 o'clock here. And we're specifically looking at this indicator. This one happens to be the Stochastic Momentum Index. And I was looking at this morning, and I noticed this is the top line, this red line right here, and this is the bottom line, right? It obviously has the word momentum in it, so there's momentum involved. You notice how it's just sitting along up here, kind of near this top line. You notice how this entire time it's just right up here at this top line, right? Well, guess what? I'm not going to trade that. Remember, I'm not looking at price. I'm looking at all this action going on here, which it was very good today. Okay, but I'm not looking at that. I'm just looking at this. And I see it's just tracking sideways, mostly. So I'm not going to trade that. There's not enough variability in there, right, for me to trade this. Now, this one isn't too bad. There's some variability here. This is a wave, right? There's significant enough wave. Look at this. I don't want to jump around too much, but see this peak here, and this little peak here, and this little peak here? Well, these are little small waves, and these are frequencies. How often they happen? Well, they're happening kind of rapidly. Frequency is just a measurement of how often something happens. For you electrical people out there, you know hertz, right? Frequency. So this is kind of elevated, and the frequencies kind of bouncing here really kind of tight. I'm not going to trade this. There's not a lot going on for me to trade this if I was just looking at this indicator. So from 9 o'clock to about 11 o'clock, there's not enough movement in this indicator for me to trade. I know it's very elevated. right? There's a lot of information here. Look how high up it is. It's way up here above this red line. So I know there's not a whole lot of variability in these waves, right? But I do know it's very elevated. Okay, great. I mean, I don't even have to look at this price. I know the likelihood is price is moving up, and sure enough, it is. Because the MACD also telling me what's going on here. Okay, so I looked at this. I said, okay, this is great. This is a lot of momentum, very strong market. Okay, I mean, I'm not putting my blindfolds on, not looking at the price at all. I am looking up here at the candlestick chart, but I'm paying attention to this for the cyclicality and the waves, okay? So then I looked at the 15-minute chart at the same time, right? I don't just look at only the 5-minute chart, because the stream that's available to the members, which I also use to do my own trading, I looked over at the 15-minute chart. This is literally how it is for the members, but it's a little bit bigger monitor. It's not so crunched up like this. It's much wider. Okay. So I looked at the 15-minute chart. Remember, we're talking about from 9 to 11 as we approach 11 o'clock hour, right? So let's look over here, 11 o'clock hour. Right here, what happens? I get this get us plus, which is my own indicator. It triggers a signal that there might be a trade here. Now look at this wave. That's just a thing of beauty. So while this one's tacking along the top, I'm not really going to trade that. On the 15-minute chart, oh, heck yeah, I'm going to trade this. Because this wave is as beautiful as it gets. This is almost like a perfect wave. It was way up here, just like at the ocean. It crests, it crashes down at the very bottom below the zero line, comes all the way back up. We get a get us plus indicator signal, which, you know, we're not really going to talk too much about that in this video, but it's very helpful. It triggers and says, hey, I think there's a trade here. The SMI starts to roll over. Okay, and there's the purple candlestick, which also accompanies this. I didn't need a whole lot of points to reach my goal for $1,000, so I took a trade short somewhere right in here, and then this big old candlestick got me the points I needed. Just this little dip right here. That's all I needed, and I was out. That's it. I didn't look at price. I didn't look at like, oh my gosh, what was the price right around then? $49.70. Okay, $49.70 right around 11 o'clock, somewhere in this area, right? At no time did I ever say, I need the price to be $49.70 or $75 or $80 before I take a trade. That never entered my mind. Not at all. I just looked for an opportunity. It could have been down here, the bottom of the wave, and go long, because there was also a signal right here. See it? There was a signal right here. This would have been an awesome trade, even better than this one. This one was monster mash. So I'm going to resist trading in the middle or kind of near the top or kind of near the bottom, because I'm not catching the majority of the wave. I want to catch it at very bottom of its base just coming up, or at its peak just rolling over. Because here, I want you to hear me about to tell you, the reliability is high. That may seem like a small movement, just like if you just traded right in there or just traded right there, but let me tell you something, that's a lot of money. That was 10 points right in here. This was 10 points from 80 to 70. I'm not telling you that if you got into this trade to get out, things are going hot, just stay in it, of course, if you got into this trade going long here. What I want you to really understand is, and the whole point of this video is, I don't look at price. I don't speak that language on an entry. I just take advantage of the oscillations or the waves in the market. And yes, there's some indicators that help and some other data that I look at. It's more than just this, but I'm giving you I'm giving you a different way to look at the market. Don't get fixated on price for entry. All right. You want to take advantage of the predictable ebb and flow of the market. That's cyclicality, cycles, and waves. Okay, that's how that works. That's how I do it. So I almost never think about price on an entry. Okay, now once I enter this trade, so this was the trade I entered. I saw this alert. It came up. This looked really good to me. It looked like it was getting ready to roll over. got the purple candlestick. I think I took the trade at the purple candlestick or a little bit into the screen. I don't remember. I think it was the purple candlestick. It went up. It came all the way back down. So I picked up I only needed 4 points. So what was the bottom of this candlestick right here? No, you can't see it. Okay, this doesn't matter. I can get approximate. It was 62, it looks like. It's 61. Okay. I got in this trade probably somewhere right around I don't know, 70. So that was 9 points from the time I took this trade to the time it got down into here. One of these two candlesticks. This one actually got lower. Got down to 58, 57. I only needed 4 points. I knew the points I needed. See, there's a difference. So now we're talking about exit. Okay. For those that don't know, futures trade in points. We don't really talk in dollars and cents. We talk in points. Now, the points do translate into dollars, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Okay, so let's talk about exit. Do I consider price when I exit? Yes. And I think that's a good idea, in my opinion, to consider price when you're going to exit. Why? Because you should have a goal. I say this to my members all the time. You should have a goal. Small retail accounts, $20 a day, $25 a day. And don't laugh. That could be $80 to $100 a week if you're consistent. Okay, but you should have a goal. My goal is $1,000 a day right now, which I think is about to change to be higher next week, I hope. Okay, but at the moment, and today, my goal is $1,000. Okay, so that's a really good thing to do, have a goal. Because otherwise, you'll just keep trading yourself right into a loss. Very common. I've done it many times in the past. I stopped doing that. I don't do that anymore. I used to do that years ago. Now I have a goal, and my goal is $1,000 a day. I don't care if it could have. I'm not saying I don't care. I've seen days where I could have earned $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a day, but I'm still happy that I made $1,000 on that day because I met my goal. Sometimes I just stop trading altogether because the discipline really helps. Okay, you should have a goal, and you should try to. You should, if you're not profitable frequently, almost every day, you should learn how to be profitable with just small profits and be consistent. You should get used to just consistently trying to make small profits every day. Set a goal, $20, $50, $100, $250, $500,000, $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is that how do you know? I talked about this before in another video. How do you know how much your goal should be? It's all determined by your account size. Your account size will drive how much profit you can extract out of the market. That's just a given. Are there exceptions? Yeah, you can hit some home runs sometimes, but don't count on that every day. That isn't going to happen. Okay? So your account size determines what your goals should be. If you have a $10,000 retail account, that's different than a $100,000 retail account. Right? And the way that you know is by looking what is the cost of the product you're going to trade in? Is it a stock? Is it a future? Is it options? What's it going to cost you to get into the trade? You should know that. You should have your spreadsheet out. You should know what it is. That lets you know the realistic profit you can extract from the market. Trying to hit home runs every day because you got one 2 months ago and expecting every day is unrealistic. It's just not real. The market isn't going to let you do that. Are there some people that can do it? Great. That's some people. Most people can't. Okay, so my goal right now, because my account size lets me do this, is $1,000 a day. Okay, you need to figure out what yours is, and what I'm saying is the product you're trading will help you determine what you can extract out of it. Okay, for futures, it costs you margin to get into the trade. Options cost you, cash or margin to get into the trade. Stock costs you, right? Everything costs something to get into the trade. Well, your account size determines that. You can't go buy 1 million shares if it's $10 a share, but you only got $10,000 in your account, right? You just don't have enough money to do that. All right. If that stock moves 25 cents a day, 10 cents a day, 5 cents a day, and you can buy 1,000 shares, well, that's a goal. You can figure out what your profit's going to be based on how many shares you bought if you're trading stock. Which I don't really trade stock that much anymore, okay? But this is an example. So on entry, I use cyclicality and waves and some logic that I have, of course, it's part of the membership to help me enter the trade, not price. For exit, yeah, I immediately calculate. Once I'm in the position, I immediately know by quickly calculating, if you need the spreadsheet or you can do it in your head, whichever way you need to do it, go ahead and do it. I quickly calculate how much movement do I need from my entry price to my exit price to get the profit I'm looking for. What's my profit? I have a goal, $1,000, and you should have one too. Otherwise, you're just going to be blowing in the wind like a fart. You'll just be blowing in the wind, and you'll keep on trading, and you'll trade yourself right out of profit. Because like I said, I know I used to do it that way, and that's a horrible way to trade. Okay, set goals for yourself. My opinion is, don't set a price for an entry, only for an exit. Okay, so you want to become a member, that's great. Glad you stuck around to the end of the video. In the description just below this YouTube video, there's going to be a link and some instructions. Make sure you read those instructions very carefully, okay? Once you've done that, you understand the instructions, click on the Discord link. It's going to bring you over to this Get a server. This is where all the services take place on this server, okay? Then once you come onto the server, click Server Shop. It's going to bring you to this page right here. $7.99 a month, guys. Now, you saw my profit today was $1,025. Am I telling you that's what you're going to make? No, because your account size has a lot to do with how much you can extract out of the market. Like I said in the video, what's your level of maturity? If you're an anxious trader, that's usually not a good sign. If you're patient, you'll probably do well. Okay. So the way I see this is invest in yourself. Spend $25 approximately here for 3 months. Learn how to use the service. Learn how to use the Get Us Plus indicator. Learn how to use the cycles I talked about in this video. You saw the 3 charts, the 5-minute, the 15-minute, the 1 hour. There are cycles on the 1 hour chart that are very useful. And then let's get into what comes with this service, okay? For the $7.99, down here is the streaming charts. This is where the 5-minute, the 15-minute, and the 1 hour charts are. So when you join, just click on this channel and you'll see the stream 5 days a week. Okay. Now, when that Get Us Plus indicator triggers a signal, it sends an alert over to this channel. So let's say you're not watching the stream. You're busy. You got something else going on. Well, this app, you can load this app on your phone. Okay, like I said, make sure you read the instructions before you do that. Now, I don't suggest trading on mobile phones. I think it's a bad idea. You should have a big, huge screen so you got lots of real estate to see what's going on. Have the 3 streaming charts up. Get yourself a nice laptop or PC. Spend a little money on yourself if you don't already have it. Phones are really hard. They're small. It's just not good for trading, in my opinion. But in a pinch, if you're away from your desk or whatever, or away from the house or whatever you're at, and you can't watch the stream, fine. Load this app on your phone, and you can still get the alerts. You just right click on this channel and notifications, you turn it on. It'll tell you when the alert gets triggered for the streaming charts, okay? So that's super helpful. So that's great. You get the streaming charts and the alerts that go to this alert channel. Now there's alerts that go to these products as well. Now these products here don't have streaming charts, just the S&P 500 does, because you can't stream everything. It's impossible to stream everything, okay? But there are alerts. So if you want to trade gold, there's alerts that come here for gold. Okay. There's alerts that come in for crude oil. There's alerts that come in for the top 30 stocks, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. And there's daily alerts as well for these stocks right here. Okay. Mostly in here, you get the 5-minute to 15-minute and the 1 hour alerts for the stocks. That's true for all these actually. Okay. Premium symbols. At the end of each day, Monday through Thursday, I put symbols in this channel. So some people like to see a list of symbols. So there's future symbols in there, there's optionable stocks in there, there's industry symbols in there, and there's symbols that could be shorted, potentially be shorted will be in there. So anywhere from 2 to 4 files of symbols can be in this channel Monday through Thursday, depending on what the market's doing, okay? Sometimes I trade currency futures. If I do, they'll be in there. Okay, the Get Us Only Post channel, this is a read-only channel. You can go in there, but you can't really post anything in there. That is where I put the link for the daily video, like the video I'm doing right now. And also I notify members about the nightly email when it goes out. And speaking of the nightly email, if you want to get the nightly email, put your email address in the emails only channel. And every night, Monday through Thursday, I send out an email with the S&P 500 daily chart attached to the email. It's got daily cycles on there. It'll sometimes have resistance or support lines on there. And I give a couple sentences, 2 or 3 sentences of my opinion of what I think the market's going to do, okay? Okay, solar activity, very cyclical. I watch this for really good reasons that have a lot to do with the market. Fixed income, if I trade a corporate bond, and I'll put it in here and say, hey, I bought this bond, I think it's a good bond. And I might occasionally put some other fixed income stuff in there, okay? These 2 channels are just your regular kind of chat. We do a lot of chat in the S&P 500. And the member chat, of course, is just, regular member chat. So all of this, everything you just heard me talk about, the streaming charts and now the email and everything else, the symbols, all that, this is members only. That's what you get for the $7.99. Okay, only members can access this, paying members. The public can't get into any of these channels. Okay, this channel is open to the public, but there's nothing in there. It's more of welcome to the server kind of channel. Don't really put any, if you need to chat something, support issue, put it in member chat. Don't put it in this general channel, because I almost never read this channel. Okay, if it's email support, like you're not getting emails, then put it in the emails only channel. Okay. And lastly, I want to talk about the rules. That's right, there's rules on the server. There's the be nice to everybody else rules. Okay. Don't post any nasty language, nasty pictures, nasty links, or treat people poorly. If that happens, I'm going to warn you. If you keep doing it, you're going to get kicked. And if you're just really going to be like an obnoxious jerk and keep doing it, eventually I'm going to ban you. So, okay, so please be nice. All right. Also, the refund rules are in there, and the rules, a disclaimer's in there that I am not a financial advisor, guys and gals. Everything on this server, everything in this video, everything I do is opinion only. Okay, just opinion. I don't give financial advice, all right? I think that pretty much covers it. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Like I said, if you want to join, I showed you how to do that already in this video as well here at the end. Happy trading, everybody. God bless everybody. We'll talk to you all real soon again next time.